All right, and we're live. Guys, today, super simple, going to walk through 3 steps to overcoming burnout. And really, I think hopefully this gives you a clear framework and structure to follow to really help. So, um, we're going to start with, really, really nice and simple. This is our objective, beating burnout. Okay. And I found there's been 3 main things that come up all the time with the guys I work with, whether they're sales reps, they're leaders, they're VPs, they're executives, really 3 common threads that really pose to be the biggest challenges, right? And the first one is, what I just call inconsistent yep, discipline. So the thing I hear all the time is I know what to do, but I just don't do it. Okay. Um, or yeah, I can go really hard in the paint for a couple weeks and then I fall off. Okay. So what we want is actually to build what I just call unwavering discipline. Simple, straightforward. Okay. The second problem that comes up all the time is like, man, I'm just mentally exhausted. I'm stressed out, like can't seem to really get ahead. No matter what I do, it's not enough. The goalposts always move, quota always resets, etc. And so the second problem is really just a constant flow of stress. There's just stressors coming in, whether it's from management, whether it's from customers, whether it's end of quarter, whether it is, and you name it, snacks being out in the office, if people are even still going in. And it's really challenging. It can just be really, really debilitating when it's always there. And we lean on things like, okay, well, I just want to numb out. I want to, maybe have a couple drinks. I want to smoke a little weed. Maybe it's just Netflix. Hey, I just want a Netflix where you're hanging out with your partner and you're just like, man, I just want to like zone out and doom scroll right now or check sports or check stocks, right? We have a lot of different ways that we try and cope with it. And so it's just really, really straightforward. What we're looking for is really freedom of stress, right? Or stress relief, just to keep it nice and simple. Okay. And the third one that, and I think every single guy that I've worked with shares this, and it's really this feeling like they're lacking clarity. That's not a why. Not sure, what's next. I think getting to this point where, hey, we've had our eye on the prize for so long. We've kind of known what we have been working towards. We've been putting in the work every single day and kind of get to this point, and it's like, man, what am I doing this for? Like, is this the best way to live? Should I start my own business? Should I leave this job? Should I move cities? Is actually all of that okay? And should I just kind of figure out what's going on inside? And it's just gonna be really, really frustrating when you're in this state of like kind of always going. I just think of like the hamster on the wheel, right? Or this background engine that's just revving, like and it just is impossible to have a sense of clarity and peace and just this flow that's able to almost move through you when you're in that state. So this is big. And I think really what we need to work towards and cultivate is just a sense of extreme clarity. That's what people want. They want to know, hey, why am I waking up? Why am I waking up today? I'm fired up to wake up. Either I'm getting up early, I'm getting a workout in, I'm doing well, I'm like putting in effort at work. Like I just believe that people want to work hard. They want to work towards a cause. They want to bust their ass. They want to make good money. They want to be there for their family and really just create just a good life for themselves, right? And so we're just going to look through a few of the steps for each of these, a few of the ways that we actually start implementing this. So we're going to go back to discipline. I think discipline's massive. A lot of people don't think they have it. They think they can't, stick to something. And I actually, think that's completely not true. I think everybody has discipline, whether you brush your teeth every day, you get dressed for work, you show up on time, you put your seatbelt on. Like we actually have it in so many areas of our life, but our mind doesn't really want to look at that. So there's just a few steps to start building it, start cultivating it every day. So the first one is we just got to we really just got to follow a really simple daily game plan. I'm just going to put GP for game plan. Something that is not overwhelming. Okay, we got to start small with it. Something where we go, hey, this is my playbook. This is what I do every single day. And it's going to look different for everybody, which is so cool. But we got to have something. Okay. The second one is we actually got to track the progress. Tracking it in a way that makes it visible. Seinfeld talks about he had this calendar and he would write a red X on each day that he wrote a joke. And so he would have a calendar on the wall and he would just write red X's. So it was very visible. So he'd walk in and he'd be like, oh man, I've written a joke. There's 18 red X's up there. I'm not going to break that streak. And by having it just visible front and center, it is just encourages this positive feedback loop, gets us to take actions on the things that we want most. So that way, when we're in the moment, when push comes to shove, he's, I don't want to do this. Okay. Because motivation is fleeting. Willpower is fleeting. That's not what discipline's about. Discipline is about, hey, I said I'm going to do this and I'm just going to do it to the best of my ability. And so we track the progress, we make it visible. And what we also do is we learn that it doesn't have to be 100% every single time. We actually just need to check the box. That is half. Most people just beat themselves up for not being perfect every day. And that is not what it's about. That is not how you build long-term discipline. Okay. That's not how you build stuff that actually sustains and you don't burn yourself out by trying to build habits. You're already burnt out. Okay. We got to start super small. We got to do the things that work. We got to create positive feedback loops, right? We got to make it easy and we just got to make it happen. Okay. The second one or the third one, excuse me, is just be accountable. By making it visible, by tracking it, by finding somebody else that is like-minded, who's also struggling, you can pair up with, you can do it in a group, you can join a community, right? You can just call your buddy, there's somebody at work. By having just one other person and you just do you do a daily text, right? You do a picture, hey, I'm in the gym. Hey, I'm doing my meditation. Hey, I just went and, meal prepped. Hey, here's a picture. I'm going to bed in 10 minutes, putting my phone away. It's 9 p.m. Right? Having that accountability is crucial. It's so hard to do on your own. It really is. And oftentimes our minds make us feel like, hey, if I can't do it on my own, it's cheating. It doesn't count. And I just want to tell you that's bullshit. Okay. What I'm most interested in is the habits we want to build, the way we want to live our life, and really showing up every day and doing everything we can, throwing everything at it to make sure that that happens. Okay. So let's look at stress relief. This freedom of stress, as I like. I kind of like that term better, actually. So what we need to do is build our own self-care practice. Okay. I love the term practice because I grew up playing sports, and it reminds me that the work has got to get done every single day. And what practice means to me is like, it's not about being perfect. It's about getting reps in. It's about doing something and then actually being able to reflect back on it and being like, huh, how did that go? How was my technique? How did I respond in that moment? And it's having both introspection and grit, and you just go out and get it done. And most importantly, grace and compassion for yourself, right? So I'm gonna add a little heart here, just so you remember that. Because there's gonna be days where practice feels like crap. There's gonna be days where it feels amazing. Okay. And it's our ability to show up for ourselves with love, compassion, grace. I tell the guys I work with all the time, start treating yourself like you would your best friend. Okay. And just see how that changes. After that, after we get the practice down, after we start to fine tune it for us, what's important to us in our lives, what we have to start doing is actually what I call identifying It's actually way harder to talk and write than I thought. Identifying triggers. So there's going to be some things that are super obvious to you, the obvious triggers. The toxic boss. I dealt with a narcissistic boss for about a year, and oh my gosh, he just destroyed my hot buttons. It was awful. Um, but being able to identify the things that really start to throw you off course, the ways that you are like recognizing yourself, again, starting to be thrown off center line. This is super, super important. And we work on the first ones, or I should say the obvious ones first, but really what's important is, figuring out, hey, where am I allowing things to throw me off? This is really about empowerment, right? It's about saying, hey, everything in my life, is like my experience. This is one of my favorite quotes, actually. I'll just cut in with this. The quote that changed my whole trajectory, going from tech sales to doing what I do now, is the idea that everything in life is neutral and only the mind creates meaning, good or bad. And so identifying triggers is just representing that. It's saying, hey, where am I responsible here? Like, am I the one that is reacting to something outside? Is there a different perspective maybe I can take? What's a different viewpoint I have here? Maybe I can put myself in their shoes. Maybe there's an approach or a perspective to take that, hey, this actually might work out for the best. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways um, that you can start to lean into that. Everybody's going to be different, but you have to first start identifying the things and write them down and think about them and really focus on them. Okay. Identifying the triggers. Second one, or the third one again, is disarming the triggers. So once you start to get a really good understanding of the things that throw you off, what's going to happen is you're going to start to catch them before you start to get thrown off. So your awareness, right? Your awareness will start to spread to a level where you can catch things and you can notice different feelings and sensations in your body before they actually start to throw you off course. And then what happens is you just disarm them before you get all riled up, before you react to a customer, right? Imagine going into a big meeting and you're usually stressed out and worried and sweaty palms. Oh my God, I got to present my QBR. I got to present to this big executive team, and catching that before it starts to spiral out of control. That's what I mean when I talk about disarming our triggers. And when we start to do those three things day after day, moment to moment, every single day, what happens is we just slowly start to lower our stress, right? Our kind of gets our baseline of our stress much lower because we're catching it ahead of time. We're not allowing things to throw us off. Okay. So going to extreme clarity. It's challenging. And to be in sales, to be a man in, in 2024, um, there's a lot of pressure to provide. There's a lot of pressure to live up to a certain image. Um, with the culture, I think a lot of people promote success and they promote, how much money they're making or the flash, and so we buy into it, right? And I think what is harming our internal well-being is not questioning that, and is thinking, man, I got to jam this square peg into this round hole. So this is an opportunity. And the first step here is to actually figure out what success means to you, redefining success. So what we do is we have this define success roadmap. It is leaving behind the things that just aren't serving you. The game that you've been playing, how you've been trying to measure up against others, whether it's money, whether it's titles, whether it's quota after quota after quota, quarter after quarter, right? And really getting clear on what it is that you want, what is actually important to you. If you look ahead 30 years from now, what are you going to be able to say, like, man, I'm so glad I lived that way and not the way everybody else did. Okay. So it's getting clear. And I just want to share, there's a reason that I do the clarity piece last, right? Because, for me, I don't want to be coming up with goals. I don't want to be coming up trying to force my passion or my purpose or my, ikigai, if you're familiar with that, or my North Star or my values or anything if I'm in a state of burnout, if I'm exhausted, if I'm like just barely hanging on. I don't want to think about that stuff. So this process actually gets you back on track, right? Gets you back to just feeling like the true you, more calm, confident, creative, just having much more clarity. And from that state, that's where I really want you to, start thinking about, hey, what do I actually want in my life? What are the things that if I do every single day, I'm going to be like, you know what, damn it. Like, that's how I want to live. That's a successful life to me. So that's what the roadmap is about. Okay. The second step is actually owning your North Star. This is embracing it. This is the process of you've already identified it when you redefine success. And now it is the practice of every single day of reminding yourself what is important to you and not what is important to other people. What does society want out of you? Because that's not fulfilling. That's the hamster wheel, man. That is the road, that is the path to burnout. And so owning you, owning your weirdness, owning your passions, owning your hobbies. If you want to start a business, cool. If you want to stick in your job and crush it in sales, amazing. Everything is on the table. But what's most important is that you start listening to the voice inside you, your gut, your instinct, that North Star. And the purpose of a North Star isn't actually to achieve it. The purpose of a North Star is really who it forces you to show up as today. What steps is that North Star telling you to take right now today? Okay, so once we start to get clear on that, once we start to follow that, once we start to listen to the intuition and honor that and take action and action and action, then we actually look at goals. So I say set and crush goals. Then we start to go into creation mode. Now we're firing. Now we're on all cylinders, right? Now we have this very clear idea of what is important to you. We have the game plan. Hey, what do I need to do? My self-care practice to take care of myself, to make sure I'm feeling my best, recognizing my triggers, disarming those so I don't get thrown off. The boat doesn't rock so much. I'm so crystal clear on what success means to me and my family and the life I want to provide. And I'm owning them, man. I'm stepping into that. I'm owning the weirdness. I'm owning the quirks. I'm owning maybe it's quietness. I don't know. It can be anything. And then from there, we start to look at, okay, what do I want to do with this? If I am truly living into this person, burnout's behind me, you're living discipline, stress, really free from the stranglehold of stress. For humans, it'll still come and go, but now you know how to deal with it. And you have clarity on what's important to you and why you're waking up every morning. And just life has a totally different meaning. And from that place, now we start to look ahead. Now we start to look forward and be like, man, what do I want to start creating in my life? And that's really when it gets fun. So